The following is a paid program by Zola Levitt Ministries. Brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to God for Israel is that they might be saved. For there is no difference between the Jew and the Greek, for the same Lord over all is rich unto all that call upon him. Zola Levitt presents
Hello, I'm Wayne Fournier, and I've been a supporter of Zola Levitt Ministries for many years now. I'm here today to talk about some exciting changes we have in the ministry ahead. And here to help me with that is the Executive Director of Zola Levitt Ministries. And he just happens to be Zola's son, Mark Levitt. Thanks for being with us in the studio today.
Hi, Wayne. Thanks for being here. You know, when I joined the ministry in 1988, it had already been operating for about 10 years, and it began in the 70s. Zola was on the radio, the heart of the matter.
You saw the ministry start from the very beginning in Zola's house. You were there with him, and you saw everything right from the start.
That's right. He typed the little study booklets that we sell now, The Miracle of Passover, The Seven Feasts of Israel, A Christian Love Story, on an IBM Selectric, working in a temporary house in our backyard.
So you saw it and helped him, and I guess it was natural for you to get into the ministry. He began on the radio first, though, before television.
That's right. There was a call-in program called The Heart of the Matter. In fact, this television program was called Zola Levitt Live initially because it was taped virtually live.
And I was trying to think the other day, how many television programs did Zola make?
Well, he was on from 79 to 2006, so that's hundreds and hundreds.
Quite a few.
That's right.
He was the first Jewish Christian television ministry.
That's right. And he met so many people in Israel, interviewed them on location, and brought so many lessons to the television screen.
Yeah, I believe he was the first one to take us to Israel, for sure. And then sadly, Zola did pass away.
Well, he graduated to heaven, and then we had some new spokespeople step into his shoes.
Jeff Seif, Dr. Jeff Seif came in.
That's right, along with Zola's widow, Sandra.
And I think one of the reasons that Jeff was so instrumental was because he worked with Zola, collaborated on that big work, the Institute of Jewish Christian Studies.
That's right, it's a correspondence course. People take all 12 courses over about a year, and then they get a diploma with their name and calligraphy when they graduate.
That's one of the ways that I was introduced to the ministry as well, too. I started taking that course. Love that. Now, Jeff Seif was with us for how long?
For 5 years.
Okay. And then, of course, after Jeff, Miles and Catherine.
That's right. And they've been with us for 6 years. And the tours continue, the Institute continues, and you can see everything on our website, levitt.com. And
now we're adding new people to the team.
That's right.
Yes, as a matter of fact, some exciting changes ahead in Zola Levitt Presents, and we're going to be talking about that in just a minute. But first, we want you to see scenes from a new series that we're working on, a series that focuses on the miraculous birth and the ministry of Yeshua here on earth, and the fact that today he is calling people to him, to draw near. Let's take a look at this right now.
Wasn't long ago our first encounter on the waters of the Galilee.
My hand is completely restored.
He said, your faith has saved you.
I've heard Yeshua speak in our synagogue.
Talked about the kingdom of God. And then he showed us his wounds on his hands and feet.
I believe he really is a king.
Yeshua, return unto your...
Some people have always believed in the promises that are in this book. Some people have believed before the book was written. We're here in the desert. Desert midbar, one of the root words for the word to speak. And it's here that God speaks. It's here that in the loneliness, in the solitude, in the quiet, that the God of all creation spoke, called Abraham from here. Think about what this place means to God. It's a place where we become dependent on him. I just think about this place. The modern world is intruding sound in the background, but if you listen carefully, this sound of the waves, this look of the sea is exactly the way it was 2,000 years ago. It's such a privilege to be here, to bring you here, to speak about the miracles of Yeshua.
We'd been fishing all night. Wasted time. We were hungry, tired. Just wanted to go home. And then Shimon Peter motions us for help. His nets is broken and his boat was sinking with more fish than it could handle. So I brought my boat close to his to help. But the catch was so big that my boat began sinking too. I tell you, I've been fishing here on the Galilee my whole life. Never seen anything like it. Never. It turns out Yeshua ben Yosef, the son of Joseph, he was the one who told Peter where to drop his nets. The exact spot. And then he tells him that he would catch men. Strange. I don't know what he meant by that. But Peter and the sons of Zebedee, they seemed changed by the whole thing. Transformed somehow. I heard Yeshua attends our synagogue. Next time he's there, I'll be there. I want to know more.
Well, as you can see, this is going to be an exciting new series. And joining me now in the studio are a couple of new faces that you're going to be seeing in the coming weeks and months. May I introduce Dave and Kirsten Hart. Welcome to Zola Levitt Presents.
Thank you. We're thrilled to be here.
We're thrilled and we're so honored.
Thank you very much. We're thrilled to have you here joining our team. Let me ask you, I want to find out about you, but the first thing I'd like to ask, how did you come to faith in Yeshua?
You want me to start?
Go ahead.
Sure. I am a PK, pastor's son.
Oh, that explains a lot.
You may have heard about us.
It does.
It's true what they say that we're the worst kids because we hung out with the deacons' kids all the time. You know that. I, at age 12, became a Christian through my Sunday school teacher, and she prayed the prayer with me, and I'm so thankful that I've had a lot of Sunday school teachers growing up, but she was the one that I remember out of any other names, and she was just a great teacher.
God always seems to use one particular person to lead us to Him.
Yes.
Sometimes.
He does, and I was younger than you. I was in kindergarten. I was ready. And at that time in kindergarten, I asked Jesus into my heart before I knew His name was actually Yeshua. Right. So we're learning, and I remember even in elementary school, we'd go to we lived in Princeton, New Jersey. We'd go to the Princeton Theological Seminary for Passover Seder. So I remember doing that just as a young girl. And of course, you know, when you had to eat the bitters, it was, but that's kind of some of my background.
We're so thankful too that we grew up in the church. We have that heritage of growing up as little kids. Every time the doors were open, your mom was the organist.
Right.
My dad was the preacher.
My father led music, so we're church babies.
Yeah. So, to be clear, did you grow up in the same church?
We did. We didn't, believe it or not. I grew up in New Jersey, so I'm East Coast.
I'm Southern California.
Okay, all right.
God brought us together.
All right. So there had to be something happening there.
Yeah, and actually we met in the middle of the country. So we joined a group, or you were the vocal director for a group called Eternity, based out of Austin.
Oh.
So different coasts, and we come.
We tell people that we met in eternity.
So you two are definitely singers. This is all coming to fruition now, and
Part
I
of
can
our
see
ministry,
this.
yes.
Wow, can't wait to hear you sing sometime. But that'll be for another time. More about your ministry and your faith now, please.
You're a minister of music in a church.
I am.
Yeah.
Yes, I lead full time at a church, and also do some singing in Branson.
Branson, Missouri.
Yes.
That's where
home.
you live now.
Yeah.
We do.
And I speak for women's conferences. So I'm out on weekends and do women's retreats and conferences and speak at churches also.
Well, you both lead pretty busy lives. Thank you for joining us on Zola Levitt Presents. We've got a lot with this new series, Close Encounters with Yeshua, that you're going to be working on that and so many more, too.
Great new series.
We have a lot more with Dave and Kirsten when we come back.
Our offer on this program, Sons of Israel. 3 DVDs featuring the teaching of Zola Levitt on location in Israel. This 9-part series chronicles the fascinating lives of some of God's key men, from Abraham, Moses, and David, to the Messiah and the Apostles. An informative and stunningly beautiful history of the people God chose and the special men among them that He used for His purposes. A 9-part series on 3 DVDs, Sons of Israel.
Shalom, it's good to see you. We are bringing you quality programming from Israel, Christianity through Jewish eyes. Thank you for your donations and your support. We need you to partner with us.
We are so grateful for your prayers and financial giving to this ministry. It enables us to bring you to Israel with us and bring Israel to you. So thanks again.
The wonder. The beauty. The soul of the Holy Land. For more information on our next tour to Israel, call 1-800-WONDERS.
Zola Tours to Israel. It is the trip of a lifetime. And joining me in the studio today are Dave and Kirsten Hart. And I understand that your son lives and works in Israel.
He does.
Yep.
Our youngest is Ryan. We have a 25-year-old named Tyler who's married, and we have a grandchild with him. But our youngest just moved to Jerusalem in August. He is video production specialist with International Christian Embassy in Jerusalem.
The ICEJ?
Yes.
Okay.
So whenever you see videos coming out on the website or on the internet, it's all our son, our
and
baby.
He's been there since August.
Yes.
Okay.
And he'll be there for 2 years.
All right, all right. So I'm sure his work's very interesting.
It is. He's on location all the time, and
Just
we were
about
just
every day.
with him. Yeah.
And you've been there obviously to see him. So tell us about your trips to Israel.
We actually just got back for our second tour, and it's, like you said, it's a trip of a lifetime, and we can't wait to go back again and take a bunch of friends with us.
So you've seen all the spots?
I don't think so.
No?
I think Masada, we missed
We
Masada.
missed Masada because it was raining. It was pouring for a whole week in Jerusalem, and we were on our way to Masada, but the roads were flooded out.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit what it's like in Israel right now, this year, as far as you know.
You know, from experience, telling our friends and even our family that we were going to Israel, there was a lot of concern. They were worried that we were going. And there's so much peace there, almost more than here in America.
I think we felt safer walking around the streets of Jerusalem than we do in Missouri. I know that sounds horrible, but I think it's true.
And a lot of peace knowing that our son lives there and he just loves it.
So do you experience the food?
Oh, I need falafel right now. We were inboxing on Facebook with our son just yesterday, and he said, I just found the best falafel place ever. And I said, okay, we're going when we get back. And we miss hummus and the pita bread and the salads.
She tried to make it the other day when we got home. Whoops.
I did make
Wasn't
hummus.
quite the same, but
No.
I appreciate you trying.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Where's your favorite place to go in Israel?
Oh, there are so many. Favorite? This might sound so strange. When we were just there, I wanted to see real Jerusalem, where everyone worked and where they ate. And one of my favorite spots was the Shuk, the old market. Have you been?
No, but I've heard so many people speak about that. There's so much activity going on.
It's amazing. We went Thursday night right before Shabbat, and everyone is gathering up their food. The produce is phenomenal. It's colorful. It's loud. People are active. And honestly, I think that's one of my favorite spots.
That's where you get a chance to negotiate prices when you're buying things,
and I
right?
didn't, because I didn't know. We're learning about shekel and how much this is worth, and I didn't want to, get in a fight, but we loved it. And it was your non-tourist spot, so it was just where the Israelis are in there shopping and doing life, and it was just amazing.
How are the Israeli people?
They're wonderful.
They're thriving.
And they love that Americans are going over and we care about them. They sense that we love their country, and I think our churches are starting to grasp what it's like to go over and to
it's a
pray for them.
sense of pride and gratitude at the same time that Americans are taking such an interest in Israel.
It is, and that's why everyone needs to support this ministry, Zola Levitt Ministries, because what we're doing for Israel and for the Jewish people. Miles right now will give you information how you can support Zola Levitt Presents.
You know, as we're bringing you these previews of what's upcoming, we want to take you a little bit behind the scenes and find out how we pay for these programs. It's expensive to do television in Israel and bring these programs to you. And so my guest today is Ray Gary from iDonate. Thank you, Ray, for being with us.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Tell us a little bit, tell our viewers a little bit about your background. How did you come into this nonprofit funding world?
Well, Miles, my entire background in business had been on the for-profit side. I'd worked in various technology companies over the years, really for about 28 years or so. And I'd gone through the Halftime Institute, where I'd met Bob Buford, and I came out of that with the realization that while I'd spent the majority of the first half of my life kind of focused on success and ambition, I really needed to kind of recalibrate and think about something to do that was significant, that really mattered, and that really put my talents and uses together for the kingdom and for the Lord.
Best of both worlds.
Yeah, and so I met through that process, which was of course providential. I met some guys at the National Christian Foundation that were experimenting with this idea of opening up the idea of giving non-cash. And I had a venture capital background, so I just kind of got enthralled when I looked at the numbers and saw there was $40 billion giving every single year in non-cash, and yet faith-based organizations were getting less than 8% of that.
What do you mean by non-cash? Give our viewers an idea of what that is.
Sure, the IRS classifies non-cash as things like vehicles, boats, jewelry, real estate, electronics, collectibles. There's about 12 to 13 asset classes that make up about $40 billion a year. People don't realize that there's $40 billion a year given in non-cash, but it doesn't go to faith-based organizations.
How do you explain that?
The best explanation I can give you for it is they don't ask.
Wow.
And I always like to tell this story very quickly of an Easter lunch conversation when I'm with 20 family members, all of which are believers, and we're sitting around the table and they're talking about having given their car over the years. And I said, who did you give it to? And they would mention some organization on the radio.
Right.
And I said, why didn't you give it to your church, or why didn't you give it to this organization you cared about? And they said, well, I didn't know you could. And so I think we just don't ask for those kinds of things.
So part of what you're doing is not only building the platform electronically for people to give, but also educating people about how to give more and more efficiently, more generously.
No, there's no question. That's the biggest missing ingredient is you have to first educate somebody that says, did you know that you could give a mink coat? Did you know that you could give an RV? Did you know that you could get stock and not pay capital gains so that you can give more to your organization? And then you have to inspire them to give, and you do that through storytelling and through tying the impact of, you mean an RV actually paid for 24 orphanages or something like that?
Yeah.
And then of course, ask for the conversion or ask for the gift. But there is an education and inspiration piece on the front end.
In congregational life, we always say that 20% of the people do 80% of the work, 20% of the people do 80% of the giving. But you have some astounding statistics about the percentage of giving in the United States. Can you tell us about that?
Oh, yeah. Well, one of the things that just kind of reached out and grabbed me early on was when I was doing all the research, like that's kind of how I was wired. I was doing all the research, I learned that from a giving standpoint, the charitable industry is about a $350 billion industry. But if we look at giving as a percent of our personal disposable income, we give 2%. And what's more radical than that, we've given it 2% for the last 6 or 7 decades. If you saw a line, it would be flat. And then when you add on top of that, our household wealth last year was 89 trillion, meaning the stuff that we have. We give at a rate of 0.5% of our wealth.
This is shocking.
No, it's amazing. And then just to give you a couple more data points, I looked at the self-storage industry. You wouldn't think about it, but you know how much we spend on rentals?
I hate to think of it.
$22 billion a year.
Just to keep stuff in boxes somewhere.
1 in 10 Americans have one. We spend $22 billion a year. If you took all the self-storage in the United States, it would be 3 Manhattan Islands.
Astounding.
Yeah, so we're overwhelmed with stuff.
Right.
And our houses are getting bigger, yet according to UCLA study, 75% of the people can't even use their garage.
I know I have a friend who says America's the only place, he's a missionary around the world. He said, this is the only country where people have a $60,000 car in the driveway and they can't put it in the garage because it's full of junk.
Right.
Wow. So our viewers are very generous. They want to support us. Tell us, how do they do that? What's the best way?
Simplest way is just to go to your website. When they click give, they'll see the opportunity to give cash, or they'll see the opportunity to give non-cash. And we have a simple process that walks you through that. Depending upon what they give, you'll get instructions in an email that tells you that somebody will be showing up to arrange the title transfer, or a box will be arriving for your cell phone. And if you have any problems whatsoever, there's a phone number where you can just simply call in.
That's great. Now, I love to give. My dad taught me that. Why should our people give? What's the payoff for our people?
Well, as you know, as we know as believers, I mean, the real joy is in the giving. And you know, what we find more and more, and what we see, what just really excites us, is when people give stuff. People give things of value versus just sending in $100 on a Visa card or something like that that's sentimental or they've attached to. And then they know that RV or that mink coat or that grain, or that commodity can actually make a difference in the nonprofit's life. There's just a different emotion and joy. And there's also a liberation sometimes of getting rid of stuff that you're carrying around, right? Just the liberation factor.
That's good.
So I would encourage your folks to go to the site, pray about what to give, and feel free to just give anything of value to your organization. And what we do is we simply convert those things into dollars and into the impact of your ministry.
That's so good. Well, you heard it here. We want to encourage you to give to Zola Levitt Ministries. We want to continue to bring you a quality program from Israel. And so thank you for listening. Ray, thanks so much.
You bet. Pleasure to be here.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next week, we start our brand new series, Close Encounters with Yeshua. We will have some dramas and an interview with a Messianic believer. Here are some excerpts now.
Peter's denial brought so much confusion because it pointed out that any one of us could deny the faith.
Right. You know, there's always a struggle between the soul and the spirit, Miles. Yes. And he was wanting, like you said, the Jewish people wanted a kingdom now. They wanted Yeshua to reign now.
Yes.
And he was setting up a different worldview.
It's such a different picture for us than for the Jewish people as a whole, because Israel believes in a national salvation. The day coming, a Messianic kingdom, when the entire nation will serve God and it will be a time of peace and no war. And so it's different than the idea of individual salvation that I think Christians are used to thinking about. It's important to remember that every single event in this trial, this scourging, the torture, the crucifixion, the death, the burial, the resurrection, all of it is prophesied in the Bible. There's no way that these events could have happened in the life of one man unless God was in charge of it all.
So I said, Jesus? And the next line was, I invite you into my heart. I said, I invite you into my heart. I ask you to forgive me for my sins. I had no idea what my sins were, but I said these words, you know. I mean, until you see the holiness of God, you can't even recognize your sin. And so I said this, and I said, I ask you to save me, and that was it. And immediately I knew I was in the presence of truth. It was like the spirit of truth was in the room.
Wow.
And it pierced my heart.
Wow.
It pierced beyond every intellectual objection I'd ever had to Christianity, the name of Jesus. It defied all of my preconceived ideas.
Right.
And somehow I knew I had touched on the truth.
The perception of most Israeli Jews and most Jews from around the world that a Jewish person who believes in Jesus, in Yeshua, is no longer a Jew. They become a Christian. And if you ask any Messianic Jew in the world, they will tell you that's absolutely not true. They're more Jewish than they were before they accepted Yeshua, and they're more Zionistic, and they love the country, and they love God, and they love His Word more than ever. So this is a deep perception that goes back to the terrible things that have been done to the Jewish people through the centuries by so-called Christians and even by the church itself.
But I specifically like Ezekiel 36, verse 24, where he says, you know, I will gather you from all the countries that I've scattered you, and then I will pour out I will take out the heart of stone. I'll put in a new heart, a new spirit I'll put within you. And I feel that I'm a part of that as a believer. And this is just, I think, the first fruits of the rest of the harvest.
How it's make me how much happy, or let's say how much make the Lord happy when the conflicts outside of the church between Arab and Jews, and you see them hugging and loving each other through Christ.
Yes.
You know, if you don't have a Christ, you cannot love anyone. So the way to love Jews and Jews love Arab and everyone love everyone through Jesus. Amen.
Yes.
It takes a long time to produce our weekly program. We want it to be the very best that it can be each week for you. The interviews are wonderful, and it's hard to put those in a 30-minute program each week. So what we've done is put the whole interview on our website. All you have to do is click onto that, and you can see the whole interview.
I know we're new faces, but we promise that the content will remain. The shows coming up are wonderful. Miles and Catherine will be on location in Jerusalem and throughout the country of Israel teaching. And we will remain focused on what Zola Levitt, our wonderful founder, wanted, to bring Christianity through Jewish eyes. That will never change.
Well, as has already been said, Zola Levitt Presents has been on the air for 38 years.
Unbelievable.
And
wow.
We hope for many more.
Yes.
We can't say for sure how many because we just don't know when the Lord may return.
Could be tomorrow. Unbelievable.
So, all of that being said, are you two going to be closing this program the way has always been done traditionally?
We've been working on our Hebrew. We have a little bit, but we have this one down.
Sha'alu Shalom, Yerushalayim.
Pray for the peace of Jerusalem.
Our monthly newsletter, The Levitt Letter, is free and full of insightful articles and news commentary from a messianic perspective. Visit levitt.com to find our newsletter, along with current and past programs, our television schedule, and much more.
Don't forget to order this week's resource by calling 1-800-WONDERS, or you can purchase it from our catalog at levitt.com.
Your donations to Zola Levitt Ministries help these organizations bless Israel. Please remember, Zola Levitt Ministries depends on tax-deductible donations from viewers like you.
This has been a paid program brought to you by Zola Levitt Ministries.